Hey everyone, welcome back to the Good Girl Box. Today we're diving into a topic that impacts all women, whether directly or indirectly: misogyny. It's a word we've all heard, but what does it really mean? And more importantly, how can we recognize it, respond to it, and stand strong against it? Misogyny can be subtle, it can be overt, and it shows up in ways we sometimes overlook. So let's dig into what misogyny looks like in daily life, why it matters to confront it, and how we can actively push back against it, both for ourselves and for the women around us. Let's start with a basic definition. Misogyny is the dislike of, contempt for, or ingrained prejudice against women. It can show up in obvious forms like discrimination, harassment, or outright hatred. But it can also be more subtle: a dismissive comment, an assumption about our abilities, a double standard that holds us back while promoting men. Misogyny is woven deeply into our culture, so deeply that sometimes we don't even recognize it. But it's there, and it affects all women, regardless of our backgrounds or experiences. In our everyday lives, misogyny can look like being talked over in meetings, facing judgment for our choices, or being told to smile more. It's in the pressure to look or act a certain way, and the expectation that we take on more emotional or domestic labor than men. Sometimes it can even come from other women who have internalized these prejudices, creating a cycle that's hard to break. But recognizing these moments is the first step to changing them. The truth is, misogyny doesn't just hurt women, it limits everyone. When half the population is devalued, society misses out on our ideas, talents, and contributions. Misogyny holds back progress by promoting outdated stereotypes and creating an environment where women feel they need to work twice as hard to be taken seriously. In short, it's a losing game for everyone. Addressing misogyny isn't just about supporting women. It's about building a more balanced, fair society where everyone has the freedom to be themselves. One challenge of dealing with misogyny is that it can sometimes feel like just the way things are. But there are a few key signs to help recognize it. 1. Undervaluing or dismissing women's voices. When women's ideas are overlooked, ignored, or even attributed to someone else, it's a sign of misogyny. If you find yourself having to repeat yourself or prove your perspective more than male counterparts, that's not just coincidence. 2. Double standards in behavior. Misogyny often holds women to a different standard than men. For instance, women may be labeled as bossy for showing leadership, while men are praised for the same behavior. Or a woman's appearance might be scrutinized in a way that a man's would never be. 3. Assumptions about roles. There's also the expectation that women should naturally handle emotional labor or household tasks. When assumptions about women's roles limit our choices or opportunities, that's misogyny. 4. Objectification and unwanted commentary. Misogyny is also evident in the objectification of women. When our appearance is prioritized over our ideas, or when comments on our bodies or looks are seen as acceptable, even in professional settings. It's frustrating, no doubt, but there are ways to respond to and resist misogyny that empower us and help break the cycle. 1. Name it. Misogyny thrives when it goes unchallenged. If you feel comfortable, name the behavior for what it is. If you're being interrupted in a meeting, say, "I'd like to finish my thought," or if someone makes a sexist joke, let them know it's not funny. Naming it isn't always easy, but it can be powerful. 2. Set boundaries. Don't be afraid to set clear boundaries when you encounter misogyny. If someone expects you to take on a task simply because you're a woman, politely but firmly decline if it's not your responsibility. Let others know that your time and contributions are just as valuable as anyone else's. 3. Seek allies. Support from other women and allies can make all the difference. Whether it's a friend, family member, or colleague, find those who recognize and reject misogyny and stand with you. Having someone to validate your experiences and stand up with you can be a powerful tool. 4. Prioritize self-care and resilience. Misogyny can be exhausting, so prioritize self-care. Protect your mental and emotional health by setting boundaries and taking time to recharge. Self-care is an act of resistance because it reminds us that we are worthy of respect and compassion, no matter how society may try to devalue us. 5. Educate and advocate. Sometimes responding to misogyny means taking on a larger role as an advocate for change. This might mean supporting women's organizations, educating others, or even just sharing your story. Advocating for change, big or small, is a powerful way to fight misogyny head-on. Fighting back together. One of the most powerful ways to combat misogyny is through collective action. Supporting other women, sharing our stories, and creating communities where we can lift each other up are all ways to fight against this ingrained prejudice. Movements like the Me Too movement have shown us just how strong we are when we stand together, and they've sparked conversations that have reached around the world. Ladies, misogyny is a reality we all face, but it's one we don't have to face alone. Together, we can stand up, speak out, and demand respect and equality. Don't let anyone make you feel less than. Your voice, your dreams, and your worth are every bit as valuable as anyone else's. Thank you for being here with me on the Good Girl Box. Let's keep raising our voices, supporting each other, and fighting for a world where women are valued for all that we are, not just what society wants us to be.